Howdy. So you want to fish in the war within? Well, there's a little bit to know, but it's not so bad. Why don't you come on a fishing trip with Brother Oklahoma? We'll get you sorted out. Before we head out of here, you see the cooking trainer behind me? Make sure you talk to them, because with all the fish you're going to catch while you level up your fishing, you might as well turn that into some scrumptious food. The combination of fishing and cooking, mwah, match made in heaven. Before we head out, let's get you geared up for success. First, we're going to go talk to the fishing trainer. I know, you want to hop on your flying mount and zip over there, but then you don't see this awesome world. So when you're with me, we take the scenic route. Remember, this is a leisurely activity. You might be surprised at how much you'll enjoy it if you just slow down a little bit. And this bearded babe right here, Drokar, she's the one you want to talk to. She'll train you in the war within fishing, and you'll start at level 1 of 300. Okay, you got trained in fishing. The next thing you're going to need is some gear. When it comes to fishing and fishing gear, there's 2 stats that matter. First, let's talk about your actual fishing skill. And this is that number, you level it up to 300. Fishing skill mostly matters when you're fishing outside of pools of fish. The higher your fishing skill is, the easier it is for you to catch fish without having to be in a pool. To make sure that you catch fish, even if you have low fishing skill, the trick is just to make sure you're always fishing in a pool. The only drawback to that is once you fish that pool out, you've got to mount up and go to another one. Whereas if you have high enough fishing skill, you can just find yourself a beautiful little spot like I've got here, cast your pole in the water and start fishing. So I don't have to run around and go from hole to hole. I can just sit here and catch a bunch of fish. All right. And that's the benefit of having high level fishing. You can come into your fishing journal right here into your test your ability section, and it'll give you the recommended skill level for each zone. So here, Isle of Dorn, you can catch fish at a pretty low level, and this is where you want to level up. And so you can fly from fishing hole to fishing hole, which I recommend that you do. But if you can't be that engaged, or you've got some other stuff going on, like maybe you're in a Zoom call for work or something, and you just can't be that focused, but you kind of fish in the background, I won't tell. Snitches get stitches, right? Just post up if you have high enough fishing skill and a lure and just catch them nonstop. That's the advantage to leveling up your fishing skill. Your fishing skill really only matters if you're not fishing in pools of fish. If you're fishing in a pool of fish, you're going to catch the kind of fish that are in that pool. The advantage is that you don't have to run around from pool to pool. And if you use a lure on top of it, it can get pretty lucrative real quick. And you'll notice up here, if you're going to go fishing in the rivers of Kaheti, look at that, 375 skill. Even at my skill right here with 300 plus 22, I catch straight junk unless I'm fishing in a pool. If you don't have the recommended skill level yet, just make sure you're hitting the pools. That's how you're going to catch fish, but that's where fishing skill comes in. Now, you'll also see that there's another stat here, perception. Perception is your ability to catch rare fish and rare items. So fishing skill is just catching fish outside of pools, basically. Perception is your ability to catch awesome fish and awesome items if you're fishing in like a treasure trove. I just wanted you to understand what these stats are, but that's the basics on fishing skill and perception. Now, if you're just getting started fishing, and it's just something you're going to do every once in a while, don't go spending a lot of money on blue gear. Okay, there's green gear and there's blue gear, and I'll show you both. You're just going to come in here to the auction house, type in Fisher Friend at the top, and there you go. A 564 green pole with 238 perception, and it also gives you a little bit of fishing skill. You buy that. The other piece of gear you're going to want to grab is a fishing cap. Just add some more perception. Lures are also something you can get off the auction house, and you'll see that they say what type of fish they're a lure for. These allow you to fish for a particular type of fish, and we'll go through these different fish types so you'll understand them a little better, but you'll see that You basically buy one of these lures, you click it, and then it gives you that buff up in the corner, and then you just go fishing, and you're going to have an increased chance to grab this particular fish. If it's close to Saturday and you plan on participating in the fishing tournament, the best way to knock these 2 fish out is with a lure. These other ones are pretty easy to catch. You don't really need a lure for them, but these two, a lure will expedite catching one of them dramatically. But that's lure. So if you ever want to go fishing for a particular type of fish, you can go on the auction house and get a lure. Finally, the last piece of gear I'll talk to you about, if you become a fishing addict like I am, this tackle box is a lifesaver, and you'll see I have one down here. What happens is when you go fishing, all this fish and all these lures, they go into this reagent bag, right? And this just becomes a nightmare. I mean, there's already so much shit you collect everywhere. It's unbelievable. This will at least separate your fish out and your lures, so you have it nice and clean. That's a Lure Master tackle box. If you get super addicted to fishing like I am, just something to be aware of. Last stop when it comes to gear, the crafting orders. Oh yeah, by the way, if you get your fishing pole, just grab it and open up your fishing journal and place it right here. And then you'll always have it on you, so you don't have to equip it. You can keep your weapon equipped. You just put your fishing pole up here, and then when you use the fishing ability, it will just automatically use this pole. Something that's a real nice change. You used to actually have to equip your fishing pole, and then if you got attacked, you'd have to re-equip your weapon. It was a nightmare. So now you just put your fishing pole up here, and you have it on you. This Algari Weaverline, this is something new with the War Within, and it's basically a fishing line that you attach to your fishing pole. You'll see right there where it says Enchanted Algari Weaverline. And what it allows you to do is it allows you to, when you find these angler threads and these seeker threads, you can apply them to your fishing pole, and they increase either your perception or your fishing skill up to 100. And so it's this progressive buff to your fishing pole that you can just keep adding to the more of these angler threads and seeker threads you find, right? So angler threads add fishing skill, and seeker threads add perception. And you'll see up here, there's the buff, right, where it says Algari Weaverline grants you the following stats. I have +4 fishing skill and +9 perception, and they can go up to 100. And you just find these in pools. Sometimes you find them, especially if you have high perception, you'll fish them out of a pool, especially wreckage pools or treasure pools. Those ones tend to have them the most. And then you can also buy them from the fishing tournament vendor. There's just a few ways that you can get them, and you just get them over time the more you fish. And so before you head out and start fishing, make sure you grab a weaver line and apply it to your fishing pole, and then you can start adding to it as you find these angler threads and seeker threads. And to get it, all you do is you come in here and you're just going to type in weaver line. There it is, Algari Weaverline. And you don't need high quality. Just get the lowest quality. You just need the line. Now, you'll notice that it costs this artisan's acuity, and this is kind of where you got to be careful. So the first thing you want to craft before you craft anything else I'm about to show you, make sure you get this Algari Weaverline and you put it on your fishing pole. If you put it on a green fishing pole and later you upgrade to a blue fishing pole, you're going to have to recraft this Algari Weaverline and put it back on your blue fishing pole. However, because I made this mistake, I can assure you that you maintain whatever your progress is. Now, if you're really wanting the best gear, what you're looking for now is this Acherite Fisher Friend. This is the one from Dragonflight. This is the War Within one, and this is what I have. You'll see it says item level 564 right there, but if you get the highest quality match, you look over here, I got a 583, 302 perception, and plus 18 fishing skill, and then add my Weaver line on top of that, and it's going up, up, and up. I love it so much. It's amazing, but you'll see it costs 300 Artisan's Acuity. So if you're crafting gear for, raid gear or PvP gear, whatever, just be careful. If you don't have the extra Artisan's Acuity, which you may not, I just hate this crafting system so much. Can I just buy a damn blue fishing pole? Can someone just make a blue fishing pole, put it on the auction house, and I buy it and put it on my guy? Do we need to do all this crafting order and all this shit? Okay. Oh, that's another video. I'm getting distracted. Anyway, this is how you have to craft the blue fishing pole. And remember, the higher the quality of the mats, the better the quality of the item. I got a really good one over here. So if you do a lot of fishing like I do, probably worth it. If you're just wanting to fish from time to time, you can complete the tournament and do everything you need to do with the green fishing pole. With the Algari Weaverline, if you buff it up, the green fishing pole is more than enough. Okay, so you don't need this blue fishing pole unless you want to have an awesome blue fishing pole like me. And it's probably not worth it for the 300 Artisan's Acuity, but whatever. This is what we do now. There's also a blue fishing hat, but as of the making of this video, I don't have it because I don't have enough blue powder to order it. Ugh, how much I hate this system because I want a blue hat so bad. But you'll see this adds a little more perception, but it also adds in some more fishing skill. When your crafting orders are complete, they'll be in your mailbox. Open it up, right-click on that Weaverline, and click it on your pole, and you'll enchant it on there, and you'll see then it'll say Enchanted Weaverline, and that's going to be awesome. Now we are off to fish. When it comes to finding fishing holes, just make sure you come up here and have Find Fish clicked, and there you go. They'll pop up on your mini map, and then we'll just come on down, and there we go. We've got our first fishing hole here. Now, I got clipped in my last fishing video because I didn't show people how to actually fish. All you're going to want to do is grab this fishing button, pull it down into your bar, and then you just hit that number or click it. Bobber goes in the water, and now you're a fishing. A fish will bite, and you'll hear the sound effect. There we go. And you just right-click it when it makes that sound. You have a window of opportunity there. If you're too early or too late, you won't catch a fish. But if you time it right, you'll catch your fish, and then you'll get a fishing skill down here. But that's how you fish. And so you'll just go from pool to pool. You'll see I have another one down here. And you'll just keep fishing up fish. And it'll level up your fishing, and it'll fill up your bags. And that's all there really is to it. Now, the devil is always in the details. And the details are really what each fish does and what it means. And that's where a great fisherman and a knowledgeable fisherman can really turn it from just a kind of fun activity into a lucrative and awesome profession. And so I'm going to educate you and teach you that difference right now by walking you through all these fish. As you catch fish, they'll pop up in your fishing journal, but it can be a little confusing because some of them have special abilities and stuff like that, but it's really no problem. I'm going to walk you through it, and it's no big deal. So, without further ado, let's get started on the fish so that you'll know exactly what's going on when it comes to pulling from these pools. First fish up, the Bismuth Bitterling. This is the basic bitch fish. Okay, you're going to grab a ton of these, especially when your perception is low and your fishing skill is low. And you'll see right here, it tells you they're found in glimmer pools in the Isle of Dorn and the Ringing Deeps. These glimmer pools are like a fish party. There's a bunch of different types of fish you can catch out of here, both common and uncommon. With every fish that you catch, you can always turn them into fish fillets. However, some fish make more fillets, like they're better, they're bigger, fattier fish. The bitterling is not going to give you a ton of fillets, but you can convert this to some fillets. You can also, if you just fish up a bunch and you toss one back in, you'll see I get a plus 10 fishing skill for 30 seconds. In my opinion, that's not really worth it to waste the fish. I'd rather just have the fillets for cooking, and you can sell the fillets too. They sell pretty well because they're used in a lot of recipes. They do have this chum special, and that's what that is right here, chum. You can increase your fishing skill by 10 if you want to throw one back in. So they can be used for that. I don't ever use them for that, but you could if you wanted to. You're going to catch a lot of these, and I suggest you just fillet them up and cook them up. Bloody perch. This is the first of what I call a bait fish. And what I mean by a bait fish is that you use your bloody perch to catch these sanguine dogfish. And that's their special right here, bloody chum. You toss them back into the water. And here it'll tell you, each one you toss back into the water gives you a 10% chance of catching a sanguine dogfish. And if you throw 10 in, you get a 100% chance, right? So 10 of these equals one of these dogfish. And you'll see these sanguine dogfish are a real nice catch because right here, their special is fresh fillets. They produce a large amount of fillets when you skin them up. So these are a really nice fish to catch. Now you'll see when it comes to bloody perch, there's a lot of places you can catch them. But the best place is if you find these bloody perch swarms. And if you see one of these swarms, just stop by and hit it because you can pull yourself a bunch of bloody perch out of here. When it comes to using your bloody perch, just start throwing them in the water and you'll see you get this stacking buff. Now the key thing here is don't do what I just did. I just wasted 10 perch because I accidentally moved when I went to get a drink. If you take one step, you will lose this buff. Look, movement will cause your scent to be lost and cancel this effect. And I just lost 10 perch doing that. There it is, sanguine dogfish. That's what I caught right there. Just remember when you're at the cooking station, it's going to say that you can fillet these bloody perch, but it's much better to throw 10 of them in and just grab you some dogfish, honestly, because the dogfish make a ton of fillets, and sometimes just the actual dogfish is the reagent you need for the recipe. So I really would just use these bloody perch to catch dogfish. 10 bloody perch, 1 dogfish, there you go. Remember how I told you a ton of fish love glimmer pools? Well, another fish you're going to catch out of glimmer pools is the Crystalline Sturgeon. The Crystalline Sturgeon has a special buff that if you throw it back in the water, you get 30 seconds of perception or 45 perception buff. Increasing your perception is a really nice thing to do if you come upon some treasure pools or if there's a really rare pool that you come across and you're really trying to pull a rare fish out of it. That's where perception's going to help. And so when you want to grab that 45 perception, just throw them in the water and there you go. So if you want to throw on a little extra perception to catch an uncommon or rare fish, toss you in a couple sturgeons. That's what they're good for. The next fish up, the dilly-dally dace, there's a few places to find them, but where I find them the most consistently is right here in this calm surfacing ripple pool. And there's a ton of these out on the Isle of Dorn, but you'll find them in the Ringing Deeps and Hallow Fall as well. Nothing special about this fish. Well, I guess the most special thing about it is it doesn't actually go into the fishing bag. Isn't that weird? I don't know if something's wrong with the coating here or something, but you can't put it in there, so it has to have its own little spot here. And just like the bitterling where it has this chum effect, well, so does the dilly-dally. You can toss it back in and you're going to get that extra 10 fishing skill. And like you can even throw a bitterling in and it's the same buff either way. So you could mix and match them or whatever. For the most part, I just fillet these. They don't make a lot of fillets, but they make a few. But you'll find them from time to time. If you're looking to fish one up, calm surfacing ripple is the best pool that I find them in, but not that great of a fish, honestly. These Dornish pikes are exclusively found from the calm surfacing ripple pools. And you'll fish a lot of them up. And of the common fish, these are actually my favorite, other than maybe the bloody perch for letting me get the dogfish. But that 10-to-1 ratio makes them not as ideal. But this Dornish pike, if you look right here, this is that special fresh fillet where it produces more fresh fillets than the average fish. Oh, there, I got one. You see this blessing, this extra 45 perception that you get for 15 minutes? You get that buff by catching these Goldengill Trouts, and you most consistently pull them out of glimmer pools, although you can also catch them out of rot pools and ichor spills there as well. And you can see they're found in every zone. Where the sturgeon and minnow, we'll get to them, but where the sturgeon and minnow give you that 45 perception for 30 seconds and you can stack it up by throwing them back. You can hang on to your trout just by catching them. You're going to get this 45 perception for 15 minutes. You catch another one, it just refreshes the buff. If you're out and about fishing, make sure you hit these pools from time to time to see if you can grab you a Goldengill blessing, because that 45 perception doesn't hurt. And then after that, just fillet them up. You see this blood in the water pool? Well, there's 2 fish that you really want to focus on when you see these. The first one is this Arathor hammerfish. It's got this unique ability that you can throw it at something and it smacks them and stuns them. It causes a 1-second CC. I think you actually get to keep the fish too. So it's kind of a fun fish to have. I usually just fillet them, but it's kind of a fun thing. But anyway, you find them in blood in the water. And if you're looking for one in particular, like say during a tournament, this is a good time to throw on that hammerfish lure. You throw on this lure and cast it in this pool, you're going to pull yourself out a hammerfish in no time. The other fish you're going to find from this blood in the water pool is the Kaheti slum shark. And this is one of my favorites because, again, it's going to give you a ton of fillets. And that's really what I'm after. Make me something real nice for those Mythic Plus runs or whatever. And they also have their own slum shark swarms. So they have their own pool, but you'll also grab some out of these blood in the water pools. The hammerfish and the slum shark both coming out of this blood in the water. And we talked about these calm surfacing ripples when we talked about grabbing the dilly-dally, but another fish that you can grab out of them are these Nibbling Minnows. And these have that same perception buff that the sturgeons have, right? Where you, let's see, you toss them back into the water and you get that 30 seconds of 45 perception. And then it stacks with your Goldengill blessing that I have 45. So 90 perception right now between these two buffs on top of my fishing pole and my fishing hat and all that. Good time to hit these pools. These pale huskfish are, I think, the hardest fish to catch in the game. First off, the only place you can fish for them is in Spider Town. And then you only find them in these two pools, which these are kind of rare spawn pools. Throughout this entire zone, these waterways, there's not a ton of water in here. You'll have to find these very rare pools, and then you're going to have to hope that there's a pale huskfish in there. Now, ironically, because I told you it's hard to get one, I'm going to get one on the first cast here. There it is, of course. So there's the very hard to find fish that wasn't hard for me to catch at all. There you go, ladies and gentlemen, the pale huskfish. And then you just open its stomachs up, and what do I get? I got nothing. Shed skin. Here's another fillet fish, the Anglerseeker. You'll find them in these Anglerseeker torrent pools. It's the only place you'll find them. But these pools spawn in all 4 zones. And so if you're looking for some fillets to cook with, this is a great fish to get your hook in. These Specular Rainbowfish, they're a fillet fish. The best way to catch one, like if you need to for the tournament, is to find a glimmer pool. You'll see they come exclusively from glimmer pools in the Isle of Dorn and the Ringing Deeps. I find the Isle of Dorn probably a little better just because there's a lot more pools and so more likely to spawn a glimmer pool. And then what you're going to want to do is you just put on your rainbow fish lure. The problem is, oh God, you piece of shit. Come here. You want it, champ? You want it? You want some of the Oklahoma? No, you don't. There you go. Okay. These elementals are getting rowdy. All right, now we're going to go fishing here. We've got our lure on, right? My Specular Rainbowfish. Watch this. I'm going to fish it up. There, I get one, and look, I lost my lure. That should not happen, but they're bugged right now. So if you're going to do this for the tournament and you need to fish one of these up, which you do for the achievement, you're going to want to get you some lures, because if it doesn't happen to be a rainbow fish, which it should be, but just in case it's not, grab you a couple extra so you can slap another one on because they're bugged right now. It should stay on there for 30 minutes even after you catch one, but it's not. But either way, it allows you to get one for the achievement. But for right now, don't waste your rainbow fish lures until they fix that glitch. Just something to be aware of. Now, we don't want to intrude on this fella here, but he's found himself some shore treasure. Anytime you find some wreckage like this, this is a great time to get your perception as high as you can. Hopefully you got your trout buff up. You toss some of your sturgeons in, right? And you get that buff up just maybe like a minute and a half, and then you hit that pool. Anytime you find a wreckage pool, whether it's a treasure pool or whatever, if it's got barrels and stuff in it, then you make sure you fish that thing if you have time, because you can get a lot of good stuff. You can get some transmog stuff. I got the shovel transmog. You can get these journal entries that increase your fishing skill by 10, and they're warbound. So if you want to level your alts fishing, I always suggest that you get up to 200 fishing on your, like if you're going to do it on an alt too, just get up to 200 fishing by fishing, because it's just not that hard to get to 200. And then from 200 to 300, you can use these journal entries. Here I found some seeker thread, and when you find these, look, now I've put 10 seeker thread on there, and when I get that buff now, my fishing pole has an extra 10 perception. The Whispering Stargazer, you will find a ton of these Whispering Stargazer swarms all over the Isle of Dorn. I mean, they are everywhere out here. So if you need to catch some Stargazers, just run around the Isle of Dorn, especially out on the coast. You're going to find a ton of these swarms. And you'll see I already have quite a few of them. Now, these are a bait fish. And just like how you use Bloody Perch to stack that buff to get these Sanguine dogfish catch, you're going to use the Whispering Stargazers to catch these Awoken Coelacanths. I hope I'm saying that right. Coelacanth. Yeah, okay. Either way, these big boys here. You'll see right here on the Whispering Stargazer, it says, toss into the waters of Kaheti and awaken the fish that slumber below. These are called slumbering coelacanths, and so you want to awaken one, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to toss in this bait fish, and you'll see I'm stacking it up. I've got 2, The magic number again is 10, just like with the bloody perch. And then watch what happens. Okay, we're at 9. Watch what happens with 10. Bam. Whispers of the Deep. Now I've got the Whispers of the Deep buff for 5 minutes. And you're just going to keep fishing out here. It can take a while, even with as good of high-level stuff as I've got with the Seeker Thread and everything. It can still take a bit. Ooh, a cursed Ghoulfish. Well, this is a good time to cover these. What you want to do with these is just throw them back. And it's going to give you a 15-minute buff, just like the trout. This one is only for 15 perception. But if you have the trout buff too, and you can have them both at the same time, that's going to give you 60 perception. The other thing you can do with the cursed Ghoulfish is you can hang on to them, and there's actually some recipes that you can get where you can make some pretty cool fishing food that gives you perception, a lot of perception for an hour. Oh, there we go. Look, we've got the trout buff and the cursed fish buff. There it is. Sometimes while you're fishing, you'll just catch one of these cursed Ghoulfish. They appear everywhere in every pool. So it just happens, you throw them back in, you get your buff, or you can keep them and cook with them. And then your Awoken Coelacanth here. This one just provides a ton of fillets, and it's a key reagent in some of the higher level feast and cooking recipes. So if you're looking to catch these, just remember you're going to need 10 Stargazers per to guarantee that catch out here. The last of the uncommon fish here, the quiet river bass. It's another fillet fish. You can find them in the surfacing ripples and the river bass pools. And you'll see they're really just in the Isle of Dorn and the ringing deeps here where I am right now. If you're really looking for those fillet fish, just remember you've got the river bass lure here and the Anglerseeker lure. So you can throw those on. And then if you have high enough skill and perception, every once in a while, you're going to pull out maybe even a rare fish. We'll head into those right now. Now, we've already covered a bunch of the rare fish with their respective bait fish. So we've already covered the Dogfish, the Coelacanth, we've caught a Ghoulfish. We've really just got these 3. These 2 here are together. These are the Regal Dottyback and the Lurefish, and you'll see both of them only come from royal ripple pools like this right here. If you ever find a royal ripple pool, fish it. This is a very rare and valuable pool. Now, if I just cast my pole in here and fish, what I'll pull out is the Regal Dottyback. So that's one option. I could just fish this pool out and grab all the Dottybacks I can. So let's see. There's the Dottyback. Now, the other option is I can use Dottybacks on this Royal Ripple pool, and we'll just throw 1, 2 out there, give myself 1 minute of this Royal Chum buff, and that's going to ward away Ghoulfish and create safe water for Queen's Lurefish. So now, when I cast into this Royal Ripple pool, I've got a chance to pull out a Queen's Lurefish. There you go, got one. And so the Queen's Lurefish is big fillets, and it's a reagent for some of the high-level feast and sushi platters and stuff like that. So that's how you get the Queen's Lurefish. As long as you've got this Royal Chum buff. Let's see if I can get one more here. Oh, crap. 11 seconds. My buff wore off, so now I'm just going to get a Dottyback. And if I want a shot at a Lurefish, I'll just throw a Dottyback in there, refresh my Chum buff. Look, God, man, this... Oh, in the... Bro, there you go. Okay, that'll work. Refresh my Royal Chum buff. Here we go, got my Lurefish. So when you find a Royal Ripple pool, first thing, always fish it, because both of these sell very well. And the second thing is, if you want Dottybacks, just fish it normally. But if you want Queen's Lurefish, then you're going to have to toss some of these Dottybacks in there to get that Royal Chum buff so that the Lurefish will bite. But both of these come from Royal Ripple pools. Always fish Royal Ripple pools. And here we arrive at my favorite rare fish of all, the Spike Sea Raven, because catching a Spike Sea Raven, you don't have to use another fish to catch a fish or any of that other bullshit. It's completely based off your perception. You're fishing in any of these pools in these 2 areas, Isle of Dorn or Hallow Fall, and you have a chance, if you have high enough perception, to pull out a Spike Sea Raven, and you'll see they're the rare I obviously catch the most of, and they have that beautiful fresh fillet buff. Outstanding. There it is. Spike Sea Raven. No funny business, just fishing. And if you've got that high perception and you're hitting those pools, you got a chance to pull one out. It's the rare fish I catch the most, and it's the one I skin up for fillets the most. Light bless you, Spike Sea Raven, you're the best. When it comes to fish and fillets, you'll remember that some of them actually have a fillet special, and those are the ones that are best to chop up. Now let me show you something. So you chop up these bitterlings and you get a few fillets, not much. The Dornish Pike's going to give you a few more, but not much, maybe one or two more. Same with the Anglerseeker, because it says it just produces fresh fillet. Okay, that's great. But look here at the Quiet River Bass. Produce a moderate amount of fresh fillet. Then, my favorite up here, the Kaheti Slum Shark. This is the only uncommon fish that will give you a large amount of fresh fillet. And then when you come into the rare fish like the Lurefish, the Sea Raven, the Dogfish, and the Coelacanth, they all give you a huge amount of fillets. So not all fish are equal when it comes to getting fillets. When it comes to bait fish like the bloody perch, the Stargazer, or the Dottyback, I don't ever skin those. I just save them and use them to catch the rare fish or the fish that they're bait for, because that's usually the one that's going to give you more fillets. And let me show you what I mean right here. So I'm going to chop up 5 bitterlings. That's 2 fillets for 5 fish. Not that great. If we change that to, let's say Dornish Pike, 2. And it'll probably be about the same for Anglerseekers. Do I have enough Anglerseekers? I do. Let's see. 3. Okay, so I got 1 more than if I use the other ones. Now, let's use river bass because they prepare a moderate amount, right? So let's see what we get there. 5. And then if I come into slum sharks, where are they at? Right here. Bam. I got 3 fillets and some slum shark scrap, which is a reagent you need for certain recipes. If I do it again, there you go. I got 5 fillets and 2 slum shark scraps. Beautiful. And then the mother of all fillets, come in here and get you a rare fish, 6 fillets. And that's actually kind of low. I've gotten up to like 11. That was an awful proc. There we go. 8. See? So you have a much higher chance. It's not always, as you saw, but you have a much higher chance to get a lot more fillets with the rare fish and the slum sharks. Remember though, if you find yourself in a situation where you're unable to have the ability to fly from pool to pool, you got to focus on something else. You just kind of want to fish in the background, but you still want to fish for fresh fillets. These river bass are the best bang for your buck because you can go get that quiet river bass lure, post up next to the river out in the Isle of Dorn, and just hammer it out. Make sure you have high level fishing and your perception's up, but with that lure on top of there, you're going to catch a lot of quiet river bass. And sure, they're not quite as good as these other fish, but they get it done. And you save a lot of time not flying around, actually. So you're just constantly fishing over and over. But that's the facts about fillets that you need to know. The last couple things I'll mention to you are that there are fishing toys that you can use that can be helpful. Come into your toy box. Most of them are bobbers. If you're going to cast and click, like right click on your bobber, sometimes making it a little bit bigger can be helpful. So you're not, having to be so fine-tuned with your mouse here. You can just click on this big boy whenever it goes off. I do not use clicks at all. I use the Better Fishing add-on. It'll be down in the description. And I suggest if you're going to do a lot of fishing, that you do it that way. The way mine works is I have one button I hit and it puts it out there, and you'll see I'll leave my mouse pointer right down here. And then when it goes off, I click that same button and it catches and it just pulls the fish right in. And I suggest that you get that add-on. The other toy that's really helpful for fishing are rafts, and it's basically a water walking buff. Let's see, I get this little raft here and I can make it go faster. This can be really helpful. Well, first off, it can just be really fun to be on your raft and fish because it just looks awesome, right? You get a nice scenic view and you're knocking it out. Beautiful. Right? But also sometimes, you can only get this close to the ledge and the fishing pool's in an awkward spot to get your bobber into it. You hop out there on your raft, And now you can cast right into it, no problem. So that could be helpful too. So bobbers and rafts are something available to you. And if you're going to be doing a lot of fishing, I can't recommend the Better Fishing add-on enough. And that concludes your fishing trip with Oklahoma. Wasn't so bad. I mean, there's a lot to it, but we got you all ironed out. And now you're ready to get out there and have the fun you were meant to have. Fishing is an awesome profession, and you can make some nice coin if you know what you're doing. And now, you know what you're doing. So get out there and get to that fun you should be having. See y'all around the fishing holes. Oklahoma out.